Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video, and I really appreciate you tuning in. And there might be a small handful of you during the time of this filming that might be scratching their heads wondering why was there not a Jibs video released at noon Eastern on Friday. I'll tell you why. Life got in the way again. This past week has been a little hectic, some travel, some stuff going on with work and family and whatnot, but I gotta make a video, and hopefully this thing will be up by Sunday. I've got to travel again tomorrow, so won't be editing while driving the car. But speaking of cars, I'm here with my car, and what exactly is this? Yeah, so looks kind of familiar maybe. Sorry about the light, got some clouds today. Yeah, so it may look familiar to some people, but looks can be deceiving. I bought this car a little over a year ago, and right in the middle of the height of the used car inflation bubble. But I think I got a pretty good deal on this specific vehicle. So what we are looking at here today, ladies and gentlemen, is a 2009 Saab 97X 4.2 liter. So this would be considered the base model, I guess, offered in two other trims, one with the 5.3 and then the top trim, which is the Aero with the big boy 6.0 liter. This vehicle is built by General Motors. A little history about that. So 1989, GM got into bed with Saab, about 50% stake, and bought into their company. By the year 2000, GM owned Saab outright, and he started seeing the way that Saab looks changed over those next several years because they were using General Motors platformed vehicles for their bodies. So this is what you have here. This is a glorified Chevrolet Trailblazer at the end of the day. Not a bad little car. Found it on Facebook Marketplace here locally in town. Super nice guy sold it to me, gave me a really good deal on it. The MSRP on this vehicle back in 2009 was roughly $42,000. It's a little high, I think, for a Chevy Trailblazer for all intents and purposes. However, I bought it for 10% of that just a year, maybe a year and a half ago. So what have I done to this vehicle since I've owned it? Not much needed to be sorted through. I was fortunate in that piece of it. I'm going to show you around the inside of the vehicle, which is essentially immaculate. The guy took great care of the car, and I also take great care of the car. I had a PDR guy come out and do some paintless dent removal on it. Had a couple of little parking lot dings here and there, but nothing major. So got that squared away. Now as we take a walk around the vehicle, a couple of other things that I did, minor things. I did replace the bulbs and the taillights with some really bright, brilliant LED bulbs. They work great, especially the backup lights. They're almost as bright as the headlights when they turn on, so it's great for visibility at night and will really get people's attention. Up top here, I did notice after giving the vehicle its first wash, right after I got it, that the third brake light up here was loose. So I took that apart and noticed that the hardware where the hardware screws into the light had broken. So I just went on Amazon, purchased an aftermarket one. The original one was had a red lens. This one has a smoked out lens. I think it just looks a lot better. Makes it less obtrusive, but of course when it lights up it is red. And about 6-7 months ago I did put a full brand new tires on this car, some Firestone Destination LE3s. Kind of an obscure tire size on this vehicle. It is an all-wheel drive vehicle, so you got to keep an eye on the rotations and things like that. So I did go ahead and purchase the lifetime rotation on these tires. We'll take you into the interior of the vehicle. I'm going to show you some stuff we did, or I did. This little trim piece down here near the seat adjustments was all loose and wonky, and I figured out all the tabs were broken on it and it was just velcroed in place. So I bought this off of eBay. It's actually a GM factory part, about $37 if I'm not mistaken. So I got that sorted out, and we walk into the interior here and see this is all leather appointed, leather dash, leather seats, leather steering wheel. Can't forget about the big Saab Griffin right in the middle of the steering wheel, which we normally see a bow tie on this particular wheel. Everything in here is very GM-esque, from window switches to door locks to power seat switches, also the cruise control and wiper arm, and those are very GM-esque. Now, a couple of things that get away from General Motors, and it wouldn't be a Saab without this right here. So, unusual placement for your ignition switch, right in the middle between the two seats and right behind the gear lever. So this has been a tradition of Saab for years and years and years. I'm not quite sure why they did this, but I have a theory. You know, when your keys are actually hanging off the column back in the day when we used keys to turn the car on, instead of a button with a proximity key, the weight of the key or keys on your ring could sometimes damage the lock cylinder in the column. I'm guessing that Saab went this route so there's no weight really hanging on there. So the keys are just actually just laying flat on top of the surface. And maybe even in the event of an accident or something like this, it'd just be easier to get to your keys if you're trapped in the vehicle. These are all just guesses. This poses a little bit of an issue when you're talking about convenience of the interior of the vehicle. So we have this one cup holder right up here in front of the shifter, which will accept basically a 20-ounce water bottle or soda bottle or a small cup, because what will happen is when you shift into park, you're going to jam it against your drink. So just because it fits in the hole doesn't mean it's going to stay there and be accessible when the vehicle's in park. And when it's in drive, not that big of a deal. To give the passenger a cup holder, you have to come up here. And this is a pretty interesting little quirk of this vehicle. Press in and it pops out and there's your cup holder. Now this cup holder here is very narrow in diameter. Again, it holds a 20-ounce water bottle okay, but you're looking at smaller cups for sure. So you just lift it right back up. It actuates itself back into place. Push until it clicks, and it stays there. Other upgrade I did is I removed the factory head unit, which was a older iteration of GM's touchscreen. It did have navigation. I still have the head unit if I ever sell this car in the future or go with it. But I did replace this with the Pioneer head unit that is Apple CarPlay compatible, wired Apple CarPlay. And not but a month ago or so, I purchased an accessory wireless dongle for the CarPlay, so now I do not have to be connected to a cord from my iPhone to run CarPlay through this, and it's pretty nice. It takes a little while to boot up, like 20 seconds or so. It's not that inconvenient, but you know, it's not instantaneous satisfaction. It does have a sunroof, and back seat is a back seat. Okay, yeah, leather interior in the back seat. There is a climate vent back there for the kids to get a little cool air, and a couple of cup holders below the climate vent. Same old that you're kind of used to in the back of a center console. So let's get out of this car because it's hot. Talk about what this video is about, not just this car, the history of this vehicle and the history of Saab and whatnot. Let's talk about the one issue that I found after purchasing this vehicle that was a little bit disturbing. I thought this vehicle was pretty well sorted out. This issue is not major, it's not mechanical. This is a body issue, but it needs to be taken care of, and we're going to point that out here in just a few minutes. It'll take you up on top of the vehicle to let you have a look at that. But the purpose of this video is to explain why I'm going to repair it the way I intend to repair it, and that's frankly to save money. So we're gonna get in that in just a minute. I'm gonna go grab a step ladder. I'll be right back with you guys. Hang tight. Okay, so I got the step ladder up on the ladder, and we're out by the roof here, and I'm gonna show you what I was referring to. And here's the problem that I was talking about. That rust bubble right there. Yeah, not really good. This could be a real big problem in the near future. So what does it normally take to fix something like this? Well, I've mentioned before in other videos I have a background in paint and body work. So repairing this isn't that difficult. It's grinding down into where you hit bare good metal, getting rid of all the rust, and then filling this area in, sanding, priming, and then repainting. So that's not that big of a deal, but the real expensive part of this is all the R&I items. That's remove and install to do the paint work. That's going to include both roof rails, both roof moldings, taking off the antenna for the XM radio, and then setting back the sunroof. Now, to get that antenna off, you actually have to take the headliner out of this vehicle, and that is a job, quite the job. By the book, I think it pays 5 hours to remove and install, so that's you know, good 2.5 hours of actual work right there, removing the interior headliner for this roof. And then the lift gate has to come off as well, which is a project in itself. So why am I not doing this the quote-unquote correct way? Well, it is about time, as I mentioned before, and money. So we are going to go to the back of the vehicle here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Open up the lift gate, and what we have here is an estimate that I wrote. I do have access to estimating software, and you want to pause on this part of it. You can see all the options this car was equipped with at brand new, and we get into the estimate itself, and there are a lot of repair lines in this repair. Okay, all these things that I mentioned before, plus some material costs and the cost of paint. Big reason why, quote unquote, I'm not fixing this the correct way. Okay, if you're taking this to a body shop, this is a rough estimate of what you're going to expect to pay just to have that little rust spot fixed. $1,123.45. These are kind of average labor rates. Some shops will charge more, some shops might charge less. I'm just kind of going off of what rates are in my geographic area today. All right, so how are we going to do this? My goal is to not do this repair for $1,100, but to do it for less than $100, basically using these two things right here. These will not be the only two things that we use, but they'll be the main things to get the repair done. And I'm going to explain that right now. Now, we're not doing this today because we don't have time. Again, have to travel tomorrow, and got to get ready for that, and got a few things to button up around here. But here's my theory. I'll get in there with a metal pick and pick away the majority of that flaky rust in that bubble. Okay, I want to get down to some kind of resemblance of good steel underneath that mess. Okay, once I reach a point where I'm kind of happy with it, I'm going to introduce some rust inhibiting paint that'll shut all that rust down and arrest it, let that dry, use that liquid nails, what the hell is this thing called? Use the JB Weld steel stick to fill that area. Okay, I was thinking about using fiberglass filler, but it causes a whole bunch of extra sanding. I think I could pull it off with just rolling the stuff into a little ball, sticking it in there, smoothing it out pretty nicely, and have some minimal sanding. I want to keep the repair as small as possible. I'm talking about like maybe about the size of a quarter at the most. Okay, and that includes primer. So get that steel stick in there, let it dry, sand it, feather it a little bit, urethane prime over that, and again keeping it really, really small. And then what I'm going to do is use that blackout tape and run it from this edge here, just on the inside of this molding, down in here a little ways, and probably come up underneath this molding here. I'll have to remove, just partially remove this so I can get it lifted up a little bit, and then run that tape all the way down the back. So it'll just be a black vinyl tape line all the way across here. Hopefully we're not going to get right into these roof ribs, and I think it'll give it some nice continuity, and it probably will not be that noticeable. It's up on the roof, so when you're standing down on the ground, it's going to be difficult to see, but it'll kind of blend in with all the other black accents in the vehicle. So I think that might be the move. And again, I believe I pulled this off under $100. The two pieces of material you saw in the car earlier, I believe, added up to about $12 after my math is right. 6 and 6 is 12. Sure, right. So about $12 in it right now. I'm gonna have a little bit of sandpaper, which I have, but I'm calculate that in if I had to go buy it. The paint I already have, and I'll calculate that in as if we had to purchase it. And after the repair is complete, I'll give you pretty good idea what you would expect to spend if you were to do this yourself. And this is what this channel is all about. We want to save some money, do it ourselves, okay? And we'll have the satisfaction of doing a clean job. Hopefully it'll last a long time. I won't have to really worry about it. I don't have to worry about the rust growing anymore. I don't have to worry about water intrusion if it gets that bad to where it leaks. And that's the last place you want to have water coming in your vehicles, from the roof, because everything that's up must go down, and it's a big mess. So we don't want any of that. So at the end of the day, that's what we're going to get into next week, I believe. I was going to try to do it this week, but the weather didn't cooperate. It's like yesterday afternoon, I meant to film this video. That was my goal. However, the minute I got off my day job, rain. And I couldn't film outside in the rain. Didn't want to film outside in the rain. And there you go. So we're out here this afternoon on a Friday, instead of expecting my newest video to come out today. You're gonna have to wait. Again, I'm gonna try to get this uploaded on Sunday. Can't make any promises. Latest is Monday. I promise that. But I'm shooting for Sunday, Sunday evening at some point, to have a video up. We'll post it on all the socials when it goes, so you guys will be aware. And best way for you to be aware is to hit that subscribe button, click that bell, so you'll be notified when those new videos come up. We do have some really, really big news coming in the next video or two. So you've got to make sure you're tuning in. This is something that's going to directly impact you, and I mean you, right there. Yeah. You're thinking, how's that going to impact me? I just watched a video. Now, stay tuned. I promise you'll want to be a part of this one. Well, until next time, thanks for tuning in. I love you. See you in the next one.